This is Appalling News. I'm Paul Chatham. A news item that caught our attention was that a local trust of the United Kingdom's National Health Service, NHS, has proclaimed that pharmaceutically induced lactation in biological males is just as healthy for babies as milk produced by mothers. An NHS foundation is a trust that is a semi-autonomous organizational unit within the National Health Service in England. It means that if you're an ideologue and batshit crazy, you can proclaim anything that the NHS itself might not agree with. And the Sussex Foundation is known to be one of the most radical, especially when it comes to claiming sausage danglers can be women. The Sussex Foundation claimed that biologically male trans women can breastfeed their babies. Men are able to take a combination of drugs to produce milk that is comparable to that produced following the birth of a baby. Appalling News does not have any medical practitioners advising us, but we know from experience that our first child almost did the la cucaracha after the wife forgot that she had put sriracha on her eggs before breastfeeding the urchin. We cannot conceive what unearthly concoction of pharmaceuticals are required to pull off the euphemistically renamed chest feeding. We cannot use the term breastfeeding because it will offend a tiny minority of trans women's washroom pageant participants. The assertion that the secretions produced by a male on hormones can nourish an infant in the same way a mother's breast milk can does not require a medical degree to figure out that it's as dumb as sticking gerbils up one's ass. When women themselves often have a hard time breastfeeding their baby and getting depressed that they are inadequate mothers, are we spending way too much time, resources, and money entertaining the minority of fetishistic trans people? Will male-bodied chest-feeders attend prenatal classes on what happens if your rent-a-baby rejects your rancid liquid excretions? We can envision the histrionics on TikTok now. I have been personally told by my doctor that discharge from a man's nipples is overwhelmingly a sign of ill health. And if it ever does happen, I'm not going to put my name on a grocery store community news board for my wet nurse services. We are going to bring a new feature to Appalling News, the Jargonator, where we will highlight, using a sophisticated sound cue, jargon in speeches and public documents. First item is from the University of Toronto, Canada's most prestigious school. They sent out a request for a lecturer to cover the following topic on anti-colonization and the politics of violence. This advanced seminar interrogates how the theorizations, embodied lived experiences, and lived resistance to structural violence can create social, epistemological, ontological, and political decolonizing anti-colonial transformation. The work of Frantz Fanon, John Akomfrah, Elaine Brown, and Asanta Shakur, among others, are utilized to pursue a nuanced understanding of violence as it relates to anti-colonization as a lived praxis of resistance and as a practice of self-defense that is grounded in the assertion that there can be no decolonization without anti-colonization. As you can tell, the Jargonator picked out many choice vocabulary-phonic instances. But what fascinates Appalling News is that there might actually be some individual out there reading this job opportunity and thinking, yes, this is exactly my shizzle. We can envision the lineup around the block competing for this position. A quick background on the individuals highlighted. Frantz Omar Fanon was a Francophone Afro-Caribbean psychiatrist, political philosopher, and Marxist. That is a shocker. Sir John Akomfrah is a British artist, writer, film director, screenwriter, theorist, is committed to radicalism of politics and cinema. What a surprise. Elaine Brown is an American prison activist, writer, singer, and former Black Panther Party chairwoman. This seems totally out of character. Assata Ulagbala Shakur, also known as Joanne Chesimard, is an American political activist and convicted murderer who was a member of the Black Liberation Army in 1977. This is exactly what Canada needs to import more of. Thanks, UofT. This is appalling news, and that's the way it is.